Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts here at JCTV in our capital city of Missouri. That's Jefferson City, Missouri. Today I'm honored to bring about a couple of gentlemen that I've been looking forward to for 2 years to be my guests on the show. That's the Firehouse Wood Carvers. I'm your host, Rick J. I am truly excited, as you heard moments ago, to turn the spotlight on you gentlemen today here at JCTV, bringing to the table an old craft that some of us even grew up with as boys when we had our pocket knives handed down by father and the grandfather, get out and do some carving with that pocket knife, or whittle as they call it back then. I'm going to turn with you and introduce the Firehouse Wood Carvers, and representing the Firehouse Wood Carvers today is Mr. Tom Holt and Cliff Olson. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, sir.
Pleased to be here.
Well, I'd like to start with each of you telling us a little bit about you and yourself and how you became interested in the art of wood carving, starting with Tom Holt. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about Tom.
Okay, I started in wood carving with Boy Scouting, and when my sons was going to summer camp at Boy Scouts, they would there'd be times that I had something to do, and I'd go up to the commissary and carve wood neckerchiefs for that the scouts had. And I carved a few of those over a period of time, and then eventually I decided that I needed to try something on my own. And when I started doing that, that's when I started doing carving pretty much by myself, really.
Excellent. And your works speak for us, before us. Well, I recall back in Boy Scouts that I did, now that you mentioned that, I did carve my initials in a cane when I took wood carving, so I get that merit badge. So I can identify with that from the past. Well, would you like to say any hellos to the family? Are you from the Jefferson City area?
Yes, I grew up in Calaveras County, but I've lived all my life pretty much here in Jefferson City.
I see.
I worked for the what was called the Highway Department of MoDOT, and during my career.
So maybe that's where maybe Larry Carver, who mentioned you years ago and said you
it could
must,
be. Yeah.
He's with he does the I guess the planning on the computer of all the highways and that end. So anyway, Larry Carver and Cindy Carver asked me to please get a hold of the Firehouse Wood Carvers. And well, now would you like to say anything, any words to the family, grandchildren, what have you?
Well, yes, I have 3 or 4 grandchildren, and then 2 great-grandchildren, but 2 of them live right here in town, and one of them just received an Outstanding Citizenship Award from the state of Missouri. She was one of 9, Valerie Holt, and she's a very outstanding student here in high school, and she's going to graduate this year.
Oh, excellent. So that's Valerie Holt.
Yeah.
That's their granddaughter?
That's my granddaughter.
Granddaughter, yes, and you just came from that presentation. So congratulations, Valerie. That sounds like well-deserved. That would have taken a lot of work. Well, then I'm honored now to turn to Cliff or Clifford. Call him Cliff, he'll permit me. And tell us a little bit about what makes up Clifford.
Well, I could tell you it's, I've always done a little bit of crafts all my life, whether it started out as carving letters to pour molten lead into it and make little crosses and different things like that. And then I learned how to carve leather in grade school, and then later on, I got into the stained glass, and after I made all I could use of stained glass, I was in Scouts like Tom and did a little bit with the boys with the carving, but we didn't have the sharp knives and that you really, and the right kind of woods that you really need to do this kind of work. And when I stopped being the Scoutmaster, because it was on Monday night, my wife had been after me for a couple of years to take her down there because she wanted, it's not only boys who sat along with Grandpa and whittled. My wife was that way.
Oh, excellent. Oh.
And so she said she wanted to go down and learn that. So I started taking her, and then I figured, well, if I'm going to take her down there, I just as well do it too.
Excellent.
So she broke her hand and wasn't able to do it anymore, and I've kept it up.
Now, are you from the mid-Missouri area?
Oh, since I was about 10 years old, I've lived in Cole County most of my
Cole
life.
County. Excellent, excellent. And would you like to say a hello to the wife or family?
The family's there,
Okay.
I got a granddaughter too I'm proud of, and I got one on the way. So.
Oh, excellent. Congratulations, grandfather. Well, in 2018, I enjoyed making a trip to Silver Dollar City in Branson. And I ran across a third party that couldn't be with us today. And I guess we should mention Rick Griggs,
Yes.
which is a big part of the Firehouse wood carvers.
He is. He's the president of our clubs.
Excellent. I've talked with him for the last 3 to 4 months, and you too also. But yes, I'm messing up being able to talk to Rex because I do recall meeting him, I'm sure, at the Silver Dollar City in the past.
Yes, he's a guest carver down there, so he goes down there quite a few different weekends and carves and shows his talents and to the visitors, and then sells some wares.
Oh, he does a lot of things for our club. He's a good promoter.
Great. Well, it looks like a lot of fun, and your artwork here speaks well for it. We're going to get more into the different types of the carvings in our second segment, so stay with us. You'll learn more from Tom and Cliff. Well, I guess I could ask you your favorite. I'd like to ask you your favorite type of wood, your favorite, that'd be a medium, I guess, and maybe your favorite subject matter. Before us, we have such an array. If you want to talk a little bit about what is before us from your perspective, Tom, I know you've got books that you basically use as something to look at to get ideas naturally.
Yes.
What is your favorite wood and what subject matter? What do you really enjoy doing? And talk about some of your pieces here.
Okay.
We have different types of carvings
Carvings,
too.
yes.
Okay.
Well, our favorite wood for all wood carvers is basswood.
Basswood.
And basswood is the favorite because you can carve detail into it, and it's a one that is easy to use. It's pretty well. We can get basswood in Missouri. The best basswood comes out of the north, up in Wisconsin and Minnesota and places like that.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
So Missouri on this.
Missouri basswood. But you also can use mediums such as walnut and tupelo and some others. And most of the carvings that were done are either you start with what you call a rough out, or you use a bandsaw and cut it out, and you start from that. And it depends on whether you're doing a relief carving or a chip carving. If you're doing a chip carving, usually you have something that's already like a plate that's there. It's already set up for you.
We're going to, Tom, get into more detail after the break, which is just a few minutes. Subject matter, you have an array of different types, and also Cliff does. Well, here's your tools too. We'll talk about those. It's quite an array of tools. So before us, can you give us an idea of what is kind of a promotion of what's coming up after the break of the different types of subject matter we have before us, Tom?
I can say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if they can see this, but this
Yes.
is
Oh, yes.
dogwood and bluebird deep relief carving, and I don't know. I like living in Missouri. I like dogwoods,
Oh,
and,
yes.
I carve a lot of them with the different types of birds. Bluebird being Missouri's bird, and but then you can go ahead and turn it into basically the same
I see.
same one as a pendant for your wife, or as gifts. And that's cherry wood,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
so that's a little harder. Or you got feathers that for the native.
Native Americans.
Here's a chip carving. This is just a very light chip carving, and so Indian motive. But when you're looking at carvings, it seems like there's a lot of religious, which you see some of that here.
Yes.
There is a lot of caricature carvings like Tom has here. And then there's a lot of Santa Clauses.
A lot of
A lot
Santa
of Christmas
Clauses. Now,
carvings.
Tom, you've got some Santa Claus
Yeah, this is
pieces. These are what, ornaments for your Christmas tree?
Yeah, this is a Christmas
holiday
tree ornament, yeah. This was just a piece, this was just a piece of scrap that came off a tree.
Oh my, what
so-
a beautiful piece of scrap.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, you just let your imagination work with you.
Yes, I can imagine.
Come up with that.
It's like almost,
And then,
yeah.
of course, this is another Christmas
Another one.
ornament here
All
that we
right.
have.
Now, one of the things our club does with Christmas ornaments for, I don't know, last 8 or so years, or maybe more, I don't
Yeah,
know. We've had ornaments at Hy-Vee at Christmas time for about a month. And we pick out a charity during the year, whether it's the Senior Nutrition Center or the
Honor
Central
Flight.
Missouri Honor Flight or whatever.
Excellent.
And it seems like we have 200, 250 ornaments on a tree, and all that money then goes to the charity.
To
So
the
that's how we support our community,
Now, Fireside Wood Carvers has been around for a while, I understand. Can you fill us in on that a little bit?
It was, I joined it, or came into the Firehouse Wood Carvers. We met at one time in the Firehouse out at Apache Flats, and that's where we got our name. And
I see.
so the first meeting I went to, I was concerned that I wasn't going to be acceptable to the club because I didn't know what I was running into in those Forest Carvers. And I was sitting here trying to think about it, and I know it was at least 30 years ago that
Oh
I was
my, so
there.
They hadn't been around.
And it was started before that. There was a member from Centertown, Dusty
Dusty Rhodes.
Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was the one that started
He's
it.
an artist, too.
He was an
Yes,
artist
I
too.
know of Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Dusty was he was interested in finding other people that was interested in carving, and he was one that kind of initiated and got it going from that
I
standpoint.
see. Okay, now I guess the next question would be, the name sounds like you're sitting possibly in a fire station, a firehouse.
It
Now,
was.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that?
Well, they started out, I think, meeting at Dusty's garage or something
yeah.
in Centertown, but
Is
then
that-
they worked it out, and it was down, we met for years
Yeah,
down at the
yeah.
Firehouse
Fire-
Regional West,
Yeah.
down in Apache Flats.
Yes.
And they let us use their room.
It was their kind of a training room that they had.
As long as you cleaned up, I guess.
yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And then what happened was they kind of went to be a 24-hour, and so we decided, there was guys wanting to sleep in that. This time we moved
I
and
see.
found
Yeah.
somewhere
We had
else.
fun in our
So
place.
you-
So we're meeting now at Concord Baptist has the strip mall across from Hy-Vee, and we meet in one of their
Oh,
places.
sure, yes.
So one of the things we did, we actually carved a life-size foreman for them, and it's if you go out there to Apache
Oh,
Flats,
my.
it's in there
I
in a
would
training
like
room
to
right
check
now.
that out.
Yeah.
I want to ask you now, I guess you have a story with this gentleman here, Tom. Looks like an old sailor.
Yeah, this was we were on a trip to Hawaii and was in Lahaina, and it was a whaling area, and there was while I was there one of the storefronts had actually had a life-size wood whaler,
Oh, I see.
So I took 3 photographs of it, and then from those photographs, then I brought this back home.
Can you hold him up? So.
Yeah, and carved him, and he was.
I see.
The whalers back in those, that was a big, that was a whaling area. This was a harpoon that they had, and I carved everything on there is carved, the ribbons and everything.
Oh my, yes.
And so, but taking 3 photographs of it, that gave me the dimensions to be able to come up with it.
Well, we talk about art on the program, all types, from glass blowers to pottery people, photographers, and now I'm so honored to have you all both as wood carvers. So now, if a person is interested in joining,
Sure, we have about 4 or 5 brand new people started within the last month.
Yeah, we have at least 3 lady carvers in our carving club.
Lady carvers is important.
Yeah.
Is there a website or someone to contact if they're interested in
No,
joining?
well there is, but I can't tell you
That's
what
all
it
right.
is.
We can.
Rick Riggs has the Firehouse Wood Carvers has a email site, but I can't.
Okay, I can look that up, and when we work in the edit room putting things together, we can go ahead and.
So we meet on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month at 7 o'clock.
That's across from Hy-Vee.
Hy-Vee, yeah.
Okay,
No.
excellent. Okay, well, super. Did you have, as we close the first segment, did you have anything that you'd like to cover off the top of the?
Well, I would.
Yes,
I think that Tom does a wonderful job with his 3-dimensional. I started out doing some 3-dimensional and then got into the relief carving, and then after I started the relief carving, I stuck with it pretty much. And once in a while I'll do a 3D one, but Tom just does an awesome job, and we're in another organization called the Sons of the American Revolution. And Tom come and seen this 2x4 type 2x10 cutout of a Minuteman, and he says, "Oh, well." So we got pictures again, the 3-dimensional pictures of a Minuteman, and Tom carved them and just did an awesome job. He has the eye, and I think that's the engineering, you know.
Well, both of your works are tremendous. I mean, they're awesome, as they like to say today.
The thing I got out of more than anything is there are various wood carvers that are nationally known and so forth.
Yes.
And they will hold classes. And when they hold those classes, that gives you an opportunity to learn new techniques and new things in carving. So I've taken at least 3 of those things. And one of them was, this is Harold Enlow right here. I took a wood carving class from him. And another one, I did this cowboy from there. And a friend of mine would come by one day and he said, he was giving gifts out, and he said, could you carve me a hummingbird? And I said, I have never carved one in my life. And I said, well, I'm one of these people that kind of sometimes gets in over their head or sometimes. I said, well, I'll try it. And so I found some things that shows you how to carve one. That's how I ended up carving a hummingbird.
Excellent. And Cliff has a hummingbird before us there, right?
No, that's Tom's hummingbird.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say with Tom's here, if you look at this cowboy right here, and look at his features, big ears, big nose, that's called a character carving. And it's kind of like a local artist here in town, Jim Dyke. You know, when he does something in the newspaper, it's caricature. And, you know, and I think that's a big thing. We had another guy in the club who hurt his hand, but he did realistic busts of Indians and Vikings.
Yes, they're all.
No, this cowboy was done from what they call a rough out.
A rough out.
And so it's there, but the features are not there. You have to carve the features into it.
I see. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, it's time to take a break, gentlemen. So we'll be right back and learn more from the Firehouse wood carvers. How they arrive at a project theme, how they bring it together, and any techniques that they would like to share with us. So don't go away. We'll be right back for more.
Talking to your kids about finishing school isn't easy, just necessary. Call 866-STUDIO or go to boostup.org for materials that can help.
I want to welcome all the viewers to the show. It's great to have you, not only from the Missouri State, Kansas, what have you, but we're even reaching out now to places like Brazil, China. So thanks to you two, we have a good following now. Well, I turn the first question to Tom. Tom, can you share with us the type of wood you like to work with best, and what types are there that before us here?
Okay, I like the basswood because it's readily available and it's good. It's a good carving media to work with. But there's butternut, there's sugar pine, there's cherry, there's walnut, and a lot of the woods that you look for. And there's also cottonwood bark that you can work with too. And most of those that you're looking for is woods that doesn't have a real distinct grain to it, because that will interfere with your details when you start carving it.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so I've carved a chestnut out of basswood and cherry. And cherry is extremely hard, and you'll soon learn that you're going to have to earn everything you get when you start carving.
So you're looking for soft wood.
You're looking for soft
we
wood.
hear so much about.
And walnut is not too bad if you have sharp tools,
Sharp
and the
tools.
right way to work with them and so forth.
And then Cliff, what is your favorite?
Well, again, basswood and butternut. Most of my stuff is basswood, but I usually make my pendants out of walnut or cherry because it's a harder wood than what basswood is. And then I do a little bit of the cottonwood bark, and this is just a little local piece of bark, but you can find that bark 5-6 inches thick when you're up in the northern states.
I see. Well, you spoke of tools now. You brought with you a good array of tools here, I guess. When you, naturally as a brush, is when we make an eyebrow or a hair on an eyelash, you're going to have a fine tool. Now, Tom, you mentioned that you're talking about a fine tool for not the chip cut, or
Chip carving,
chip cut, but you got a really fine cut. So that would take a really fine, sharp tool.
Well, most of your carving can be done with a knife. There are places where that you can't get to with the knife, and you have to use certain sharper tools like gouges and V-tools and things like that.
Oh, I see. So a knife, is that like your pocket knife?
No, it's a carving knife.
Oh, it's a carving knife.
This is a carving knife right here. And the difference is normally the blades are smaller, and you can hold up the edge to them much more readily. It's a different type of steel.
I see.
And your carving, you want a knife that will be able to actually just shave with it. It has to be sharp enough to do that. And so I think one of probably the secrets to carving is sharp tools.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
imagine.
If you have sharp tools, and you're careful, you can do good work.
So same with you, Cliff.
Pretty much. Now,
knife.
Tom has quite the array there, but like this one here behind me, that is done with 4 tools, almost all of it with a knife and just a slight gouge.
Gouge.
But all the other tools make it easier.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Some people when they do carvings, they have a specific tool to do one thing, and they do it in repetition so they can do a lot of carvings quickly.
You're probably like me in my artwork with my oils. I have this probably 50 brushes for the finer work, and I've got some bigger, but I keep grabbing that one brush, and I'll find myself doing a 2-inch area with this fine point brush because I can reach the detail. I have to laugh at myself sometimes just because it becomes favorite. It just works so well,
And you have your favorite tools.
Well,
and then you also like to buy one once in a while.
Yeah.
Well, now we're talking about all this awesome work in front of us. I'm sure you do consignments. Can you can you give us a telephone number where you can be reached personally, both of you, for a consignment if someone might be interested?
Yeah, I can. What little work I've done really is more or less gratis, and then consignment. I've had people ask me for certain things, and just on a one-to-one basis, and I said, yeah, I'll do it for you.
Well, super.
But normally, what I do is for either for charity or for some organization like Scouting.
How about you, Cliff?
I've done some where somebody says, well, could you do me a barn or do, whatever, and we get a picture and do it. But I normally just do, I used to do in the round, and I do the flat because people said we got room on our walls where we don't on our tables as much. And so I think that's why and probably the best way for me would be cliffordolson.com. I do have a website that has carvings on there.
All right. Well, we're going to jump to, I guess I'll call it the nitty-gritty now.
Okay.
As I ask, let's go ahead and turn to Cliff again. Can you step us through the steps that you use once you have a commission, or let's say just an idea or concept?
Sure.
Through the final completion. Drawings on the paper, looking at books, layout. I know it's got to all come together.
Well, like I said, I like doing the dogwoods. So I have a dogwood. And then I have 3 or 4, and I put them on top of each other and hit it with the copy machine. And you spread them out, and then you draw in some branches, and then you cut out my things, and I put them on there to get patterns, and so you really don't see it in here, but there's a lot of the same dogwoods, and then when you carve, none of them look alike anyways.
I see.
And then I find a bluebird out of a book and say, oh, I like that one with the wings. Then you got to figure out how to carve it. You think about the patterns and that, but and putting things together. And it's interesting how when you start a project and how you end up finishing it. Because you're trying to figure out, how to get the depth into a stone building or the trees or in the one right down here, how to make that lighthouse with the lights. See, make it look light. And that's a painting thing. Now, a lot of we were talking about this earlier, you as a painter, some of our work is painted, some of it is natural.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see, yes. Okay.
So you figure all of that out. But one of the things I've used is tattoos. I found some interesting tattoos, and then I may put into a spooky tree a raven or owls or something. And
excellent.
One went to Japan.
I want to remind people you're going to be back at Hy-Vee probably this November.
Yeah.
So drop by and see Tom and Cliff. It's been an honor, gentlemen, to have you on the program, Spotlight on the Arts. And it's really inspiring to visit with you and learn so much. And so on behalf of Spotlight on the Arts and JCTV, I'd like to just really say thank you so much for coming and taking your time around the round table.
It's our pleasure. Our pleasure. We appreciate it very much.
Very good, very good. Well, that wraps up another interesting special show here from the amazing talents of the gentlemen from the Firehouse wood carvers from our area. My thanks go out to you, the viewers, and especially Gloria Enlow, our producer and crew, for taping the show and assisting us here at JCTV. Again, thanking you viewers for watching and joining us across the world now on YouTube. So look for more Spotlight on the Arts right here. I'm Rick J. saying sincerely thank you for being a viewer and joining us here at JCTV Spotlight on the Arts.